Hi, I'm Tracy Nutt. I'm co-owner of Service Master of Sudbury and Build North Construction. And today I'm here with Kathleen Stokes, an employment lawyer from Weaver Simmons, to discuss employment issues. Hi, Kathleen.
Hi, Tracy.
Wondering whether or not you could speak a little bit in this session about hiring and firing, most specifically as business owners, wondering how difficult it is or how much emphasis should be put on the interview and the hiring process.
I think a lot of emphasis should be put on the hiring process because that's your best way to vet somebody. You want to make sure that you look at the resumes carefully. You want to make sure they have the qualifications that you believe are necessary for the job. And the most important thing is you want to call references. Too often employers forget to call references, and when you forget that, you may find that you have hired someone who's litigious or someone that was not a very good employee in their last job. So the hiring process is very important. In terms of the interview, you also want to make the expectations of the job very clear. Tell them what the company does, tell them what the job is you're looking for. Make sure they understand the hours of work. Make sure they also understand if there's weekend work. You want to present them, if you're going to offer them a job, with a contract so they know the terms and conditions of employment ahead of time and everyone is on exactly the same page.
Okay, thank you. What are the steps then that I should take if we've gotten through the process and we offer the employment? Backing it up a little bit, is there a legal component to what an employer would offer? Do I have to present an actual formal offer of employment then?
No, you don't. So if I meet you and I say you have a job and you accept that job, that's an oral contract. You have a right to enforce that contract. I think those are always poor ideas. I think you should put what you want at least in a letter. Here's the job, here's the wages, here's the vacation, and the most important part is here's the termination. Here's the termination provision. People should know ahead of time what happens if it doesn't work out. It saves a lot in the way of legal challenges. Anyone who's an employer knows that one of the biggest challenges is terminating somebody and the expense that goes along with that. If you have a termination clause, it sets out exactly what somebody's entitled to. It takes away all the guesswork, and those are negotiated before the employment even starts. So that's the most important thing you want in writing. I'm not a particularly big fan of what's called a definite term contract, which allows employees to work from 1 to 5 years. I think there's no issue in hiring someone indefinitely as long as you have a good termination provision.
What are the key topics that should be covered once the hiring is done during the orientation process?
So once you've hired someone, assuming you've given them a contract and they've signed it, what you want to go over in the orientation process is obviously you want to introduce them to everyone, you want them to know where they're working, you want them to know how to use the basic technology of the workplace. It's surprising how many times people don't train them on the software, show them how to answer the phones, show them where the bathrooms are. Those are basic things that show an employee that it's an engaged workforce, that's in a workplace that is organized, and that it's a workplace they could have a future at. So you want to make a good impression on an employee. You also want to make sure that they've seen your policies and procedures, that they understand the rules of the workplace. One of the most important things you're going to want to do is if there's an occupational health and safety component to the job, you're going to want to train it on. Workplaces now have to train on harassment and sexual harassment. You'll want to make sure they do that in the orientation process. You'll also want them to sign off on any policies that are specifically important. Confidentiality is a big one, but one of the biggest ones you're going to want in a small business or a business where there's a possibility of competition is that they sign a non-compete agreement.